to speak tonight. First, I realized how underqualified I was with the other guys I'm speaking with, but I was excited, and I kind of felt that AIGA's conference theme this year, Head, Heart, and Hands, kind of applied to my own journey. So I wanted to look at the stages I've sort of been through with that. So first, working with my hands, I studied it at UNCG, and that was really, just building those drawing and painting and sculpture skills, those fine art skills. And I was really happy to learn all those things at the time, but I still wasn't sure of my place as an artist. I wasn't sure of, what I was really supposed to be doing. So this is to represent the fine art side and the art history and the stuff that I took out of that experience at UNCG and took into my teaching career. So I taught at high school in Guilford County for 6 years, and while I was there, I still practiced painting, I practiced sculpturing, was just trying to figure out, what was the next thing for me, what was I going to be doing, because I knew I wouldn't always be teaching art. So while I was there, I found that crafting was really important to me, and just working with my hands and texture and colors and paper, and that was the first thing that kind of set me in a different direction, was starting to make these paper garlands that were sold for weddings and parties, and very kitschy and simple, but for me it was important because I was teaching and I was at a job that was so demanding of my time and my energy, and I just needed something to do with my hands outside of that. And that really led to getting some calls from the rest of the creative community in Greensboro and meeting people like Andy and his wife and other friends of ours that were doing things like the hand-to-hand market. And so I started selling some of those crafts at the hand-to-hand market. And that really pushed me into thinking, what was the next step after working with my hands? How could I, expand my artwork, because I was seeing all this stuff from local people that was really interesting and cool. So at the time, I started sketching a lot more and going back to my sketchwork, and everything I was doing that was based in nature, it was really about just clearing my head. It was mostly about pattern and about scale and space and size. And repetition and positive and negative space, and it was something I just really needed at the time to put some order into my own life creatively. I needed to put things into some sort of box. So it was, there was this conflict though, because I was still teaching and I wasn't sure, what my place was. Was I a teacher? Was I moving into design? Was I an illustrator? None of those titles really seemed to fit my journey or kind of fit where I was, but I was getting some recognition. I was doing a little bit of freelance work. I opened an Etsy shop online and was selling a little bit of stuff, and then started kind of branding my work under the name Heart Craft. But I was still in this space of, I want to know what I am. I want to have a label for myself and for my work, and I was really uncomfortable, just moving forward. Without knowing what the next step was for myself. So the last thing came with, starting to follow my heart, that last part of, the conference title this year. So this year, on my 28th birthday, I started back to school. So I started at GTCC, and my husband had gone through the program already. So I saw how fast he had learned there, how strong it was. And really, bringing in this last part, following my heart, is what really, opened up the doors to all of the other stuff I'm kind of able to do now, make me more comfortable, like collaborating on projects with my husband, Justin, and getting some more freelance opportunities and working with different companies locally. So one of those is Action Greensboro in downtown Greensboro. They do like Center City Park. So one of the fun projects we've done with them has been these movie posters where we weren't allowed to use the name of any of the movies. We just had to come up with images and icons to represent them. So I'll let you take a look and see if you can kind of figure out what those were. But that was a fun project.
The 16 cans?
Yeah. These are some from this year's. But that kind of opened my eyes up to working with some local groups and to some nonprofits, and I think that's something that will definitely be important for the rest of my career. It's something that I've seen, myself really drawn to. So over this past year in school, I've also just been able to kind of find that place where my head and my heart and my hands all get to work together for the first time. Because I'm not teaching, I kind of got a chance to step back and let all those things come together. So a project like this from school was this year's crop walk shirt design that got chosen, and that just happened last weekend, so that was really cool to see all the people wearing those. And another school project that we did, but just, like I said, just working in this space where all of those things overlap, where I don't have to be in charge anymore. I don't really feel like I have to put a label on what I'm doing, because I'm a student and I'm just learning. And that's the important thing that's kind of happening in my life right now. And that opens me up to taking on some new opportunities, like doing some screen printing, and we did this with one of our teachers, Mr. Lawson, that's here. And from that opportunity came this book, or this publisher out of California contacted me last year about contributing to a book on screen printing, along with 10 other artists from around the world. And of course I was like, I'm not a screen printer, that's not what I do, I don't know what I'm talking about. But because I'm in this space where all those things are overlapping, I can say yes, and I can let those different opportunities in. So I did, and I contributed some projects to this, and some tips and techniques for whatever it's worth, and some of my own designs to this printmaking book this year. So that's kind of where my journey has taken me, but the big things that I've taken out of it are, one, that learning and education are really, really important to me. Whether it is teaching a class or being a student, that's a big part of my life. And also just being in this place of the overlap where everything is kind of coming together, and I'm open to new opportunities and open to saying yes to whatever may come my way without having to label myself.
One T in my name. When I was born, my parents couldn't afford the second T. Thank you guys for making me seem more affluent. Okay, so how can designers fix the economy? Here we go. I'd like to talk to you about the economy. We all know the current financial climate is shaky at best, terrifying at worst, and it's going to take new levels of creative thinking and innovation to restore it. Luckily, we have the power to develop a series of design solutions that can help the nation climb out of its Great Depression. Already number 2. To solve this dilemma, we went out and collected data to aid in our creative process. Delicious value-priced data. It's important to be aware that every facet of business is affected by the recession, so we found it especially necessary to conduct our own focus group. After dealing with a crisis in our stomachs, we began focusing on how to resolve the economic one. Okay, data processing. So once we've gathered enough data, we feed it into our patented Goldberg 5000 creative process machine. The computer really does all the work. I mean, just ask any client. Anyway, with this machine, we've been able to greatly streamline our brainstorming process. Once inside, the device's synergy drive is activated. It cycles through possible solutions using a series of complex algorithms. It also makes one hell of a cup of coffee right forward. Results are in now that our trusty Goldberg 5000 has done all the grunt work. It's time for us to make this data come to life. We know that the crisis is in fact bad, but we know that bad is not necessarily a state of being, but just a state of mind. So with a dash of marketing, we might not be able to eliminate the problem, but we sure can make people feel better about it. So we got to rebrand, right? So our first step is economic crisis. That's a harsh term. If we're going to get any public support for this thing, we're going to need a new approachable name, more user-friendly one, right? So we settled on the bank holiday. Number 4 there. It's a comforting term, reminds consumers their money isn't gone forever. It's just out of town. So next we got to do something with the typography, something that's going to grab attention. So we experimented with several typographic variations in our attempt to find a solution that accurately matches the loose laid-back principles of the bank holiday. As you'll see, we went with the top logo because the first idea is always the best idea. So the sun image is like a little bit of hope, while the cyclical arching of the letters suggests being stuck can be a good thing. So now that we do that, we got to have an identity for this thing. So bank holiday is such, series of options here in our little sketchbook. We want the relaxed atmosphere the bank holiday promotes, right? It's a holiday. So our primary push with the logo is to help people identify with their money and understand it deserves a break. Sunglasses just to look cool. So we got to have a tagline. It's nice to have a catchy phrase. So your money's on vacation. Why aren't you? Right? And it says cold arms or armchairs, rather, for the American people, the way we see it. Why should a person worry about things like bills and taxes when they don't have any money to pay for them, right? So a good tagline, unlike your money, is always going to stick with you. Now that we've got our rebranded elements, it's time to put the pieces together and get the word out. We need to distribute information to all major media outlets. Our Feel Good campaign won't do any good if it's not where people can see it. If we really want people to stop worrying so much about time and money, we have to be willing to put a lot of time and money into the campaign ourselves. All right, The dollar, once the economic low created by the bank holidays as lowest, will be in phase 2 of our repair plan, which is redesigning the dollar. As you can see, the new currency is much more dynamic. Diagonal edges that drag time, allowing you to spend with previously unseen speed and accuracy. And with the corporate sponsors, government's making money while they're making money. So, distributing money, we got a crop duster here. We got to find a way to get it distributed. Did you know that according to a statistic I just made up, over 75% of crop dusters are out of work right now? So we're going to get these people employed, they're going to scatter the dollars, they're going to spread the message and provide new jobs for pilots. That's killing 2 birds with 1 plane. Stimulus package, we got a bag here, right? So we got people excited about spending again. It's time to stimulate the economy. Best way to do that is with an attractive stimulus package. So this is our package. Each bag comes with several unique solutions for stimulating your economic lifestyle, putting the passion back in your bank account. Besides, what bank holiday would be complete without a few goodies, right? So, okay, we got a brochure. You gotta have a brochure if you got a bag. So, we gotta make sure nothing's overlooked. So, we got highlighting many exciting opportunities you and your money will have during the holiday. Paper comes from old recycled dollars, defunct local newspaper, and auto dealer brochures. How's that for thinking green, huh? So look at that, it's looking pretty nice. Okay, we're moving on here. We got a gift card. At the end of the day, though, we've got stuff to have a stimulus package without actual stimulus. This is where the rubber hits the road. You might be thinking, why a card? Our recovery card is redeemable at all major banks, comes in a variety of vibrant colors that are as diverse as the diaspora of the American people themselves. Why cash a check when you can use a purple passion stimulus card? Okay, so celebrity endorsement. Question we often found ourselves asking, what's the best way to get people excited about this economic trend, right? Celebrity endorsement. Chris Angel is going to offer several surefire solutions to make financial woes disappear like magic. And as an added incentive, he also shows you how to levitate both a bull and a bear at the same time. So bank form, new versus old. Bank forms are very complicated. I mean, look at that one on the left. We need to get the money moving. We got to simplify stuff, right? Got to go to the bank to get started. Poor information design is horrible, so bank forms are bad. So why not cut to the chase and simplify the form so there'll be no confusion when receiving your bailout, your loan. Okay, so as we all know, bank won't do any good if there's no money to put in it. You need a job, but during the layback economic holiday, it might be a little bit hard to find. So why we've made it jump to Web 2.0 here. This is very forward thinking. We've created Jobster, social networking site dedicated to people trying to find a job. Works just like Facebook, but with a lot less junk and no Microsoft. Oh, and then we got to have a phone app, right? Mobile, that's the future. So when it comes to finding technology, there's no better way to find employment with your trusty phone. Let's forget about for a second how you've got an iPhone when you don't have a job. So go ahead and fire up our job finder app, spin the wheels of fate, so once you're ready, give the phone a shake and your new job awaits. So we got a billboard, right? Now that you're on a roll, right? You give your buddy the much-needed bro grab because this bank holiday just went from a long weekend to a full-fledged pleasure cruise. Money's chilling, you got no worries, right? Thanks to some informed, creative decisions, you can now sit back and watch all your financial problems wash away like a sandcastle at high tide. Last but not least, the benefit gala. We got our champagne glasses. Once we've succeeded, there's only one way to celebrate at the end of the financial crisis, with an extravagant and lavish gala.